Hey guys, SeetherCord here, and welcome to the next episode of the SeetherCast podcast thing. Last time we had on Severed Sundae, and we kind of helped out his channel quite a bit and getting him inside and, bringing him onto the channel. And this time we have another guest who does videos that are pretty similar to mine. Some people could say we're copying each other, who knows? But, yeah, so pretty much I'm just going to give the floor to basically introduce this mysterious guest that could just be Seether version 2 or whatever. So introduce yourselves, good sir.
Hi, my name is Björn Valentine. I am a YouTuber. And yeah, I pretty much make the same kind of content as Seether over here. But I just started using suit videos, but it's not really my persona, so I prefer to do commentary videos just like Seether over here. So yeah, hi.
Oh, it's nice to have you on and all. So yeah, he does typically make commentary videos and everything as well. And for today's episode of SeetherCast, we're pretty much going to focus on talking about furry commentary channels on YouTube and where the state of them are going and really what makes furry specific commentary channels be implemented into the furry YouTube sphere on YouTube. But before we get into that, I'm going to give some time for our guest, Bjorn. Is it Bjorn or Bjorn?
Bjorn. My mom actually calls me Bjorn, and my sister calls me that to mess with me. But no, it's Bjorn.
All right. So first, I'm going to ask you to kind of tell us the story of what brought you into the furry fandom and then what brought you to making furry commentary YouTube videos for YouTube.
Alrighty then. So, I found the fandom. If you don't mind me getting a little bit dark here, I was like in a really dark place in my life. And I needed some form of like happiness or family in my life. Like I was extremely lonely in this period of time. This was April 2018. I, to be honest, tried to take my own life. And then a week later, I found the fandom, and it completely changed my life around. And I started creating furry-related content, YouTube videos, because funny enough, I've been on YouTube, making YouTube videos since I was in elementary school, and I'm 24 years old. So that could tell you how long I have been making YouTube content. But I decided to make one for the fandom, mainly because this was this new magical thing to me, and the fandom really helped me get out of a dark place. So, me making videos for the fandom, applied to the fandom in some way, meant a lot to me. It's like a way for me to connect with more people, because in person, I'm a very shy person. Like, I went to a party recently for Halloween, and I just sat on the couch the entire time. So me trying to talk to people is absolutely terrifying to me. So me being able to make video content to try to connect with people was kind of important to me. And there were a lot of, luckily enough, in the fandom, there were a lot of content creators. And I hate to say it, well, I don't hate to say it. It's funny enough to say that some of the content creators on YouTube literally saved my life with their content for when I was in a very dark place, and I found the fandom through other people. Some people showed me the fandom within that week, and it really turned my life around. And some certain content creators that pretty much do the same content as SeetherCord and I here do kind of just turned my life around. So yeah, that's why I make YouTube content for the fandom, and how I found the fandom was through by means of I needed some form of, I guess, a happy state, or just the fandom itself is just such a happy place to be, and so caring and nurturing, and I needed that in my life at that time, and the fandom brought that exactly what I needed, hence why I'm still here, and hence why I make YouTube videos.
That's awesome. Now, when it comes to the type of content that you produce, not just for YouTube, but for the furry fandom and all, like, what specifically got you into wanting to make YouTube videos in general?
Well, I've been making, like I said before, YouTube videos since elementary school. I've been wanting to be a filmmaker my entire life, and I'm actually going to college currently. I'm a 6th year in college for editing, and I stuck with it mainly because I love filmmaking. I love the process of it, and it wasn't until later I decided to do editing. But I started making videos because I just thought it was fun. I genuinely just liked making videos, and I just kept at it. Like, the movie that made me really decide to be a filmmaker, I always toss this up in the air. It's either The Matrix or Saving Private Ryan. When I was a kid, when those came out, when I saw The Matrix, I was like, I was still in elementary school, and I watched it for the first time, and I was blown away. And I was like, I want to make videos too. They were not good videos, but I kept at it, and here I am, 6th year in college, still making videos.
That's awesome. Now, when it comes to making the type of furry-related content for the fandom that you do, like, instead of making videos with a fursuit or making, like, you know, animations, things like that, what got you into making commentary like videos like I do and a couple other furry YouTubers on the site do?
So I am not a fan of showing my face. I'm not a fan of people knowing who I am for personal reasons, mainly for job reasons, because people view the fandom still in a harsh light sometimes. And of course, me trying to find a job, that's not the best thing to have. I'm not sure if you agree with that personally or not. But I've been told I have a good voice, and I used to, before I made videos for for the fandom, I was a streamer on a website called caffeine.tv, and I streamed video games, and people always said I had a pretty good voice. So I figured, hey, why not try it making content this way if I don't want to share my face or anything. And it seemed that when you're part of the fandom, at least how I perceive it, you need to have some way to correlate that goes like, hey, this guy is a part of the fandom. He isn't just speaking into a camera. He is somehow correlating himself with the fandom. And I thought the best way was doing it the commentary style that you and I both do. So that's why I do it that way. And because it was kind of like an homage to the YouTube channels that I had started watching because of the fandom.
Okay. Now, I felt like one major topic that we could talk about, because having you on here, since you and I both make pretty similar content and all, when it comes to like formatting of videos and everything, I would say that when it comes to that, when it comes to like our sphere of like people who make these kind of videos, I really want to talk about kind of like the state, as in like of the people that make those specific type of like furry commentary videos on the site. Like, for example, you have Severed Sundae, and you have Mallow, and you have Raychown, you have Cothrix, and you have Genesius Wolf, and you have this other character. I've seen her pop up. She's like some like pink lion character I've seen pop up quite a bit. But yeah, all those, and like the whole concept of like furry commentary channels, or just, you know, commentary channels in general that just have the furry slice part of it, you know? Mm-hmm. So like, where do you feel like the state of commentary channels going and furry commentary channels are going for YouTube?
So I've been actually seeing them, me personally, I've been seeing more than usual lately, because I'm one of those people that whenever I get a subscriber, I like to go to that person's channel, and I do look at their channel to see what content they make. So I've been finding a lot of YouTubers through that way, funny enough, is from people subscribing to my channel. If not, I kind of just roam around looking for these kind of videos, and I just happen to find them. I think we're in a state where I'm a little bit worried. So one of the things when it comes to YouTube content is that some things become oversaturated over a period of time. Oh,
definitely.
And I'm always worried about that, because here's the thing that's always so hard about doing commentary-based videos is that when we're making YouTube content, SeetherCord, for example, and I, we don't want to end up making a video that somebody has already commented on. You want to try and be the first one to do said thing. You don't want to do something that somebody else has already done. At least we want to try to. With animation, you can get away with that because it's your own unique style and it's your own way to going about it, and you completely change how it is. With commentary, you're talking about something specific that you may agree with a lot of people from other channels. So trying to find a way to make it your own unique way is what makes it so challenging, with more and more of these channels starting to pop up. So making yourself an individual within that is really, really difficult.
Well, when it comes to me, especially, this isn't just really with commentary channels or furry commentary channels on YouTube, but this is more so, I feel like, with just YouTube in general, with how the market of the amount of people on YouTube who are making content has grown extremely over the past couple years.
Yeah.
Because I would say throughout the past, like, I think YouTube's been around for, like, what is it, like 13, 14 years now?
Well, let's see.
And
I'm 24, and it was released when I was in elementary school. So I would say, yeah, that's a good 13, 14 years now.
I know 2005 is when it started, but but in the 13, 14 years it's been here, I would say that the first half of that time span, or like at least maybe the first 10 years or so, YouTube, it became more and more prevalent over those 10 years, but however, it still was kind of a niche thing that not that many people did. Like, still a lot of people, maybe like 1 or 2 million people were making content like that. But however, in the past like 4 or 5 years, it's grown extremely more. We've gone like from maybe a couple 100,000 or so new YouTubers each year to now like near like millions of new YouTubers each year now. And it's becoming more of a normalized thing. Like, if you look at, oh heck, I'm a 20-something-year-old. If you look at like teenagers these days, a lot of them are starting to make their own YouTube channels now. And that really wasn't something when you and I were like teenagers. We more so just like either, for the most part, only like a few teenagers were really making videos like that.
Yeah,
so,
it's...
Or making videos at all, I mean, on YouTube.
So funny enough, in the millennial generation, they've done studies of this. Apparently the dream job is to be a YouTuber nowadays. That's like the highest numbered career job, is people wanting to make a living off of YouTube. So that's why I feel like when I was growing up, YouTube was just about Smosh, pretty much. Because Smosh was the first big one that caught everybody's attention when YouTube first started.
No, I would say Fred and Ray William Johnson too.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Ray William Johnson fan, but yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
I wouldn't say people, I guess back then, a lot of people really liked him, but then as the years go by, people realized that, like, I'm not saying I disliked him, but he pretty much made the same thing of like those like clip shows you see on like TV and stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that, like when it comes to these commentary channels and everything, or so, and with more and more people making content, I was saying, with the problem, like, with there being more and more people who are making content on YouTube, the actual level of quality content on YouTube is going down because there's, like starting to become an oversaturated market with it. And the thing is, what I've started to believe as time is going on, because I remember, I would say late 2017, early 2018 for YouTube for me was probably like the worst level of quality of my videos, and also like the lowest amount of production for my videos, because I was feeling bad and didn't want to make videos as often back then because I felt that my videos sucked, and my videos still kind of suck, but
Don't say that.
but I felt that like, I feel like my videos there's not enough editing to it, or they're not too unique enough and everything. And then I'm like, YouTube has gotten to the point where the standard now is not try to be unique, because it's virtually impossible to make original content now because so many people are making content. So I think the thing that people should try to do is, it's okay to make content that a lot of other people are making, but just try to stay like, or at least just try to still make content that's unique enough to yourself. And I feel like people are okay with that. And like there's a lot of YouTubers that are making content that's very similar to themselves. Let me give one example. There's a few YouTubers, I don't watch them anymore, but back when I used to watch YouTubers like PewDiePie and NoFuckers and Pyrocynical, there would be times where all three of them would be making videos about the exact same thing and be copying people. They'd be copying each other. And I'm like, this is too much. But instead, like, it's okay to talk about things that everyone else on YouTube's talking about, but just don't like flat out rip people off, and you should be good. Just still try to like keep into your sphere of like, okay, I'll do this video, but I'm not going to care if someone else happens to make the same thing, because it's pretty common now. Yeah. So it's kind of impossible to avoid doing stuff that only you can possibly do on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's my little rant. I went on for like 5 minutes there. I'm sorry.
No. I was paying attention. I was just listening. I agree with you on that. That's you hit the nail right on the coffin right there.
Yes, thank you. Now, what about when it comes to commentary channels? Like, how do you feel about commentary channels that are not specifically furry based? Like, of those channels, there's channels like I wouldn't necessarily call the animation story time channels that. Like I would say
Adler
more so
Eagle
like
kind of style,
or like The Right Opinion, things like that, if you heard of him. Some other channels like that where they kind of do like the still image and they like move it around and stuff like that.
I don't know if I've seen enough of those, but continue with your question.
Well, they tend to cover like other aspects. It's basically just like furry commentary channels, except it's not always about furry, which they kind of have a leg up a little bit, because furry commentary channels, we kind of have being a furry and talking about furry stuff, the only thing that really drives us. And it gets a little fearful for me at times, thinking about I'm eventually going to run out of stuff to talk about in the furry fandom.
I worry about. I always try to come up with something to talk about that's related to the fandom, and always trying to stay correlating with that, and that's so hard, because I won't go into a tangent with that because you had another questions, but continue.
No, you can go on with it. It's fine.
All I was going to say was that like trying to come up with content only related to the fandom is so freaking difficult sometimes, because I feel like a lot of it, when you're doing commentary, I feel like a decent amount of it comes from experience. Like, you experienced something, so then you want to bring it up in some way, or you witnessed something and you want to bring it up some way, and you think you have some knowledge or a position on said thing that you would like to bring up. Like, for instance, something that may have happened to you at a con and is kind of common that may have happened to other people or something like that. And staying within the world of just the fandom sometimes is really difficult when you're trying to do something. Like, if I could do commentary on something else I really enjoy, I would do it. But I want to keep it to the fandom because that's what people want to see. Yeah, I make content videos because I love making YouTube videos in general, and it's my way to communicate with people. But, of course, there's always that side of being a creator that I want my videos to do well. I don't want to waste this time working on something so hard that people might not watch just because it doesn't work with what my channel is normally meant for.
Here's the thing with that, in my opinion. What I've seen, because I've been watching content on YouTube since 2008. Mm-hmm. The website started in 2005. Mm-hmm. 2008 is when I really started going on. So I'd say I have an idea of how this website always has worked post 2008. So the first 3 years of YouTube, I don't really have as much knowledge or experience of knowing how that would work. But one thing I will say that I've noticed that always sticks when it comes to this channel, like the main thing that there's two reasons or two factors that goes into whether or not a YouTuber will survive or not, or whether or not their channel will just die off eventually. And that is, if you want your channel to continue going and thriving and staying alive and not die, is you need to stay passionate in what you're making, that the people who watch your videos stay because of you and how you make your videos and are appealed to that, not just the type of just whatever trend or something that you're making your video on. And also, you gotta also kind of like find a way to still like stick with what's trending and what's really people on YouTube are watching. So like you see certain YouTubers that are still around, that are still relevant. Like let me give an example of a YouTuber. I think his name is I'm starting to think of like Shane Dawson, for example. His content back then, like around 10 years ago, was completely different to what he makes now. Back then he made sketch comedy videos, and now he does like this weird investigation content podcast stuff.
Yeah.
And he's still relevant. And a lot of other YouTubers that were big at the time are gone now. And the reason he's still around and they aren't is because he knew how to keep people invested in him because of his personality, and also because of him being able to move on to making content that people still want to watch these days. Mm-hmm. So people don't really care about sketch comedy videos anymore. People care about more. What I feel like people on YouTube are watching videos for now is realism and more like reality driven content, with people being more true to them. They don't really prefer like written down, or not necessarily written down, but more like fake stuff that's like sketch comedy and everything like that. You notice that?
Yeah. I feel what you're saying.
People enjoy podcasts these days, and people talking, and people, you know, like being more connected with the viewer, and if that makes sense. And that's why also, instead of like, I still make gaming videos for YouTube, like people tend to prefer streamers now instead of Let's Players, if that makes sense too.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Now, Let's Players, some of them are still able to survive because their content, they can produce a lot of content that gets a lot of watch time, and they're still around, unlike animation channels where they can only produce like such little watch time from a lot of effort. That's kind of why they died, but you know. Yeah. So that's pretty much my take on it. But how would you feel on that whole thing of what I just explained?
That what? Can you just like asking a question for him so I can, like, I was listening. It's just that was a lot to listen.
I know. I haven't given you enough time to really talk yourself. I'm being a jerk.
No, it's perfectly fine. I was just trying to keep up with what you were saying.
I don't know. I'm rambling. It's been a weird freaking day for me, like for real. I don't know what's up with me lately. But what I would ask is like when it comes to like YouTube and what kind of like content, and not really just for YouTube, but just how would you feel like the furry fandom in terms of like what content people are watching? Like from now, like I would say that when it comes to like furry content on YouTube, it has hit its peak like a year or two ago, and now it's like I don't think it's going to get as popular as it used to be a year or two ago. So like what kind of content do you feel like people within the furry fandom who watch furry YouTubers, what do you think they're going to continue watching for the future, and what are they going to stop watching eventually?
So when it comes to content from the fandom, there are some times when my personal opinion, I don't understand why people enjoy watching the content. But from the way you were describing it before, what's really drawing the people to is because the person who's making the content is their style, and people enjoy how they make their content and what they're bringing to the table, even though it may have been done a million times before. For example, I'm not sure how long ago, Majora Strawberry released a video of him and his friends drinking weird sodas. That's all it was a bunch of guys drinking different weird kinds of sodas. And people loved it, just because of the way that he perceived him. He showcases himself and how the videos are made and how he talks and presents himself. People enjoy it because that's what they're there for. They're there for the creator. They're there to watch him being himself. And I do kind of agree where YouTube eventually reached a plateau where getting new people to get noticed is a little bit difficult sometimes. But I'm not too worried. I think what's really making it difficult is YouTube's algorithm and how YouTube's been shutting down people's channels and stuff like that. But besides that, I think that YouTube is at a point where there's so many people that are just trying to make it as a living, and I don't know where I'm going with this, in all honesty. I just think that...
No.
Yeah, what?
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
No, you can go.
No, I'm honestly at a point where I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of people making content, and yeah, it kind of plateaued, but like you said before, it's extremely true. People do watch people's content because they enjoy it. And they, like you were talking before, how people prefer live streams instead of walkthroughs or whatever, or playthroughs. People prefer that just because they enjoyed the person. For example, like they like being able to communicate with the creator. For example, when it comes to my videos, I have responded to every single comment on every single one of my videos. I sit down and I reply to every single one. And yeah, it's time consuming sometimes, but it's worth it because it's what makes people want to watch the content, because I try to connect with my viewers because I'm not the best at it in person. So me being able to connect in that way is important to me. So that's why I try so hard to try to be myself for people to come back and watch my videos. And it's a way for me to go like, hey, how you been? Thanks for coming to my stream and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. I would say, in my opinion, when it comes to like, yeah, I would say that about 5 or like years ago, it was way, way, way easier to make a financial gain or like make a living off of YouTube back then, because it wasn't as much of a difficult market. There wasn't as much competition back then, to where everyone pretty much watched everything because there wasn't that much back then. But now there's more. It's becoming more difficult. And I wouldn't say that it's impossible to become successful and make a living off of YouTube. But here's the difference. These days, it's hard to make a living off of just the YouTube platform itself.
That's why people release merch nowadays. Merch is such a heavy streamed revenue. For instance, Odin Wolf. Have you ever been to his website where he sells his own merch now?
I don't have the money to buy merch of people.
He has like, he's been making this like clothing line type of thing where it's like a knockoff of Gucci or something like that, for his like fursuit scarves and stuff like that. And it's basically making his own clothing line. So merch is like one of the other ways that I've been seeing a lot of YouTubers making it stable. And besides just making YouTube content, Patreon has been massively huge for people to make it to have stability when it comes to making YouTube content, to being profitable in YouTube, or being able to sustain yourself. Like when I hear about YouTubers being able to make a living, be able to sustain themselves and only make YouTube content as a form of money, that's where, like, I think that's where a lot of YouTubers wish they can be. And they can't just do that through just releasing videos, because monetization is such a common thing. And being able to make a profit off of that alone, just off of that, is, like, near impossible nowadays.
Yeah, that's, like, why it's important. And I got to give credit to Boogie2988, if you know who he is.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Because he went on the H3 podcast, and I remember this was around the time when demonetization, like the first, like, you know, adpocalypse happened, the first case of it, and like everyone was losing money on YouTube and everything. And he went on the podcast, and he even said, like, I've been saying this for years, you know, you got to start getting more, you know, outsourcing. You got to start outsourcing more, connecting to your YouTube channel. You got to get in Twitch. You got to get in merch. You got to get into Patreon. You got to get into coffee, because eventually, I wouldn't say, if YouTube keeps going the way that it is, it doesn't mean the death of making profit off of video creation online. It means the death of just getting ad revenue. Yes. Because if YouTube dies and no one uses it anymore, I'm pretty sure that the people that love these YouTubers are going to go, the YouTubers themselves, we're going to go to other websites or other like platforms to get our content out there, and the followers are going to come with us. And that's the really important thing, because that's why you have to treat your viewers with respect. And you also got to make sure that you have to make passionate content, because if you don't make passionate content, you could still get subscribers, but however, people aren't going to stick. And you can either make content that's made for younger people, and then once they get older, they're going to go out of it, and then you'll get new younger people in. And that's why some people don't have as many passionate followers, and then they can't get the support elsewhere with like Patreon and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty much at this point, YouTube is kind of becoming more of a cutthroat game when it comes to getting a living or making money off of it. Yeah. So if you want that to work out, you got to start branching out into other places too, because I'm not saying that YouTube's going to die. I don't have high hopes for YouTube, but there is still a chance to save it, I guess, if they fix their issues. But yeah, start looking elsewhere right now while you're still on YouTube, while there's still time. You know, that's just what I think.
Yeah, no, it's really difficult. I remember when. So, funny enough, the person who created Patreon was a YouTuber. He went by the name of Jack Conti, and he made music on YouTube for a living. I don't know about for a living, but he made music on YouTube. And the guy who created Patreon was Jack Conti, and he created it because he was starting to realize that people that were making content on YouTube were having difficulty in doing that because they couldn't afford to do it. Because eventually I feel like for some YouTubers that want to try and grow, it's like running any other business. You got to spend money to make money to try and get further into that business. And that's why when Patreon was created, it was kind of like a godsend for people because the money was going straight to them instead of like YouTube and how they nickel and dime everybody on the monetization of videos and making it in the monetization taking overboard with its freaking commercials that just take over the videos nowadays, and I absolutely hate it.
Oh yeah. But Patreon, I would say, I think we're running a little low on time, but we got like a couple more minutes left. When it comes to Patreon, however, I do have, even though I will say Patreon is important still for making a living,
Yeah.
Patreon is its own titan when it comes to outsourcing stuff for your YouTube content compared to all other platforms. It's way different than Coffee, from Twitch, from merch, things like that. And the reason I feel that is because I do think that Patreon is still a great thing, and it's great for, getting stuff out there. But I will say that I do think there are a lot of YouTubers out there that are abusing the Patreon system a little bit. I'm not going to name any names, but there are a lot of cases where, people are making, like, for example, like, some people who are getting Patreon support not for, actual content or actual, like, helping out with the quality of their videos or, like, furthering their videos. It's more for, like, personal finances, personal gain, things like that. And then other cases where they ask for money on Patreon and clearly they don't need it, But that's just me. You still have a right to give your money to whoever the heck you want, unless it's terrorists. But or maybe you could still give money to terrorists. Who knows?
It's not prepared to hear that.
But anyway, but yeah, still, just like be passionate and, don't do anything shady when it comes to trying to make money off of YouTube. And also, even with all the criticism we've been giving about certain content not making it, YouTube is still a site that when you make videos, you shouldn't make videos just with the purpose of making money.
Yes.
And there are certain people that are making content on here that's not going to go anywhere further. Like there's still people that are making gaming videos on YouTube, like let's play videos of like unpopular, irrelevant games, and people who are still making like unboxing videos and people who are still making sketch comedy videos. They're not making virtually any money off of it. They're not making that many views off of it, but they still enjoy doing it. And that's all right,
I 100% agree. There are like some YouTubers that have kind of fallen out of the limelight that I still like to watch constantly. Like growing up, for me, I don't know if you remember this YouTuber. He was called the Mystery Guitar Man. Do you remember him?
Oh yeah, I remember him a lot.
Yeah, nobody watches, like nobody really talks about him anymore, but he still makes content every now and then, and I always think he's really, really talented, and it always kind of bothered me that it's just one day he kind of just fell out of the limelight a little bit there. But he is making like actual films and stuff nowadays, and it's super cool to see someone who started on YouTube still making YouTube, and he was like one of the original people, while people have just risen well past him when it comes to subscriber count. Like for instance, Mr. Guitar Man joined in 2006. I'm looking at it right now. Joined in 2006. But he has 2.7 million. Yeah, that's a great amount. But when you compare it to someone like PewDiePie, who's only been around for like a couple of years, compared to Mr. Guitar Man, who's been around for over 10 years, still pumping out that content, that really says something about his type of character.
His content's still way more successful and profitable than my content will ever be. But still, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But I'm just giving him an example because he's one of the veterans when it comes to YouTube content.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that was a great conversation we had. I think this is a great place to wrap it up. Is there any last thing you want to mention or so before we close it out for today?
Like, mention, like, what exactly?
Like, is there any, like, further, like, last few, like, minute or two things to discuss before we close it out, or are you good?
No, I feel like we touched upon quite a bit of stuff. I'm not complaining.
Cool. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our episode of SeetherCast for today. Thank you, Bjorn, for coming on and, being a part of the podcast and everything. Please take a moment to list out all the social media or whatever you want people watching this right now to know how to get in contact with you or get your stuff out. Here you go.
Oh boy. Alright, so we got all of the social medias. We got that YouTube, Björn Valentine. Literally just look up Björn Valentine. We got that Twitter, Björn Valentine, but instead of the E at the end of Valentine, it's a 3. I got that Instagram, but I don't really post a whole lot on there because I don't show my face, so that's kind of difficult to do Instagram. So yeah, I got all the social medias. I even made an FA account. I don't know why, but I have one. I guess it's just as another way to post my videos somewhere, because the one thing about being a YouTube content creator, you got to be persistent. So yeah, I have like all the social medias, and you can find me on there.
Great. That's all of it, pretty much?
Pretty much, yeah. I got my Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. Yeah.
You got to add in that MySpace, though.
Oh, dude, I actually found my MySpace page not too long ago. I think I did.
All that will be linked in the description down below, his social media. Can we add your MySpace also?
Oh my god, I need to see if I could find it now. Isn't it just music now, though?
Yeah, it's just music. Justin Timberlake bought it and made it a music site.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you again for thank you again for coming on my podcast today. I was going to say, thanks for letting me be on your podcast. This is Bjorn's podcast, and this is Bjorncast.
It belongs to me. I'm SeetherCord now.
Oh my god, it's like Freaky Friday, that movie.
We're revamping this. Let's do this. We're starting from the beginning.
Hey, donate down below to our Patreon so that way we can, so Bjorn and I can remake Freaky Friday. Oh god. Anyways, again, thank you for coming on. All of his social media will be linked down in the description down below. I've been SeetherCord, and you can do your name, I guess.
I am Björn Valentine.
It's not Valentine's Day. And we will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
So goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey, we almost finished, so it's way better. Still a very creepy ass game over screen. I think it'd be a compilation of like creepiest video game overs or something. I'm pretty sure that would be there.